Hello again. I haven't built a kit for a while, so I thought it's about time I started again. So here's a LED kit that I bought. Lots of red LEDs in there. Not very many parts. We've got an IC holder, a switch there, and some connectors there. Instructions just there. So let's have a look at this board. So, okay, lots and lots of LEDs all over the place. Big pattern of LEDs. IC goes there. We've got connections here, and that's basically it. So I'm guessing this is just going to have some patterns that will just play out, and I'm going to guess if you press the button it changes the patterns or something like that. Quite straightforward through hole construction. We've got traces on both sides. If you look at this board, you actually see that most of the traces are going horizontal, left to right or right to left. But if we flick it over, most of the traces are going vertical, top to bottom or bottom to top. Right, okay, so I think what we'll do now is we'll just have a look at some of these LEDs. We'll test some of them on the tester. Right. There's my LED tester. And it's a fairly standard red LED that's lighting up quite nicely. Normally you get really small LEDs, but these feel quite nice, quite decent size. So the LEDs themselves fairly straightforward. We've got a long leg and a short leg. Long leg is positive, short leg is ground. And on the circuit board, if we have a close look at the circuit board, then you'll see that yeah, let me show you what that one there. So if I zoom into that one there, you can see actually that it's got a plus and a ground next to it. So the top is a plus and the ground is the bottom. You'll also see there's a flat on it as well, indicating it's a ground. And that's all there. We've got some there, look, as well, and there, so that's okay. The IC, that's got the cutout on the bottom like we always look for, so that's make sure that we get the chip in that way around. So I think what we'll start doing is doing a build. If you're wondering, by the way, about the instructions, they are here, but they're all in Chinese. Just give you a bit of a circuit diagram here. And a layout of all the components here, but as there isn't much, one IC, switches and 81 LEDs, and the rest of it is in Chinese, but this looks like a fairly simple build. Just before I start, I just wanted to give this a quick clean off, because it looks okay, but because it's been in transit, sometimes they can get a bit mucky and a bit greasy, so it's going to clean that off, make sure it's nice and easy to solder onto. There we go. Yep, that's okay. Now what I think I'll do first is we'll just plough on with the LEDs, get them done. Quite a few to do, 81 I think it is in total. Right, so that's got it on there so we can easily, oops, flip that over. Right, let's just tighten that up a bit more. There we go, that's better, that's better. Right, so I can put the components on that side. So here we go. So if you remember the LED, the long leg is the plus, which is at the top, so we just put that in there like so. We can flip the board over, bend the legs, and that's ready to be soldered. So that's all I'm going to be doing 81 times. Right, sometime later we've finally got all the LEDs on, so there's only a couple of the components left to do now actually. The IC holder's got to go on, and then the IC after that. We've got a switch to go on just there. We've got another switch to go on just there, and then the power to go just there. There's two other things. There's this one here and this one here. First of all, the one on the left, this is for a USB socket. There isn't one in the bag. Instead they've provided this power socket here, which will go just next to it. And then this one here called ISP1 is if you want to program the chip and change the patterns. I'm not doing that, so I'm going to leave those pins off. So IC, switch, switch, and power is next. Now when we're looking at the IC, remember before we said there's a cutout on the left hand side here. Well, there's a cutout on the IC holder as well, so we've got to make sure that matches up. And let's see if we can get this on. Quite a small one this. Yeah, there we go, it's just dropped into place. Stick a bit of blue tack on it. There we go. And we can quickly solder that up. Right, that's the IC done. What's next? Well, that's the IC holder done, I should say. Let's get that switch on. That's right in the middle there. Right, next is the other switch, the square switch. It's got a springy leg, so they should, keep itself in place. And finally, or second to final, is the power, which is going to go on that corner there. There we go. The old blue tack on it. Okay, so that's that done. Right, so last but not least is we've got to put on the actual IC itself. So I'm just going to put a cloth down on the bench just because I'm going to be pressing against those LEDs. So, right, so the IC is here and there's a little dimple, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, there's a little dimple that end which matches up with the little dimple on this side there. Oops. Right, I might need my leg straightened out. There we go, that's in okay. Right, power. Welcome back, and as you see it is working. However, it's not as easy as that. It's a couple of days later and I've been trying to fiddle about with this to try and get it to work properly. It's taken me a while, so I need to explain to you how to get it working and the reasons why I had the problems. Nice patterns though, aren't they? First thing you'll see is that one of the LEDs, which is that one there, is different to all the rest. That's because I had a dead LED, but I didn't discover that until after I'd soldered it in place. So I had to remove it, and the only LED I had was a clear red LED, so that's why it's a clear one there. That's why it looks slightly different to the rest, because I didn't have any spare ones. So that was one of the problems I had, but let me explain the other one. So I'll switch the bench lights on now, and so we can have a clearer look as to what's going on. Let me just disconnect the power cables from the back. Okay, so as I said earlier, what I've had to do is replace one of the LEDs just there with a clear one because I didn't have any other red ones. No spare ones in the packet, which I was a little bit annoyed with, but there you go. So that's why that's been replaced there. Well, let me show you the back. First of all, these two cables here, these are just soldered onto the board. It's where the power goes in, just so I can connect it up to my bench power supply with this. But you'll see a couple of cables here. These are not bodge cables, as you might think. It's not because there's a couple of broken tracks. The instructions, which are here, I apologise for the flickering. So the instructions here, at the bottom there's a bit of Chinese here, which I don't read Chinese. So I decided to use Google Translator and just have a flick through the instructions just to see what it said. And this is very important. I'll put a translation of it on the screen for you. But what it says is that there are two open loops in the circuit, and you have to add the wires in to complete the circuit, which I didn't know at the start. So when I originally switched it on without these two in, it didn't work. And not only didn't it work, the IC got extremely hot, and I thought, oh well, that's it, the IC's gone, it isn't working. But when I used Google Translate to translate the text, that's when I discovered that you need to add these two loops in here, these two cables in here, to get it to work. So just be warned, if you're going to build one of these kits, don't forget you've got to add these two link cables in as well. So apart from that, so dodgy LED and the two link cables, got those connected in, and it does actually work. So let's connect it up again. So, and again, I'm only using these clips and on these bits of wire so I can connect it to my bench power supply. There we go, that's it. The button down here, by the way, is if you press it, it does change to a different pattern. I think on the camera it looks like they're shimmering or they're strobing, but they're not. They are solid. It's just, it's like turn me, there we go, you can see it better now. I actually think the patterns look quite nice. So, seems to change the speed as well on it to some sort of random thing. Anyway, I quite like it. I like the patterns. I think they're quite good. On-off switch there. And when you switch it on again, it resets back to the normal pattern right at the start. I quite like this kit. Just a shame that they never put some English instructions in, because that link is quite important. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed me watching it. If you like what I do, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you again soon. Thanks for watching.